5 days from now, the 2020 election season will at long last draw to a close. And then the postseason can start, and God only knows what's going to happen there. Who knows? I mean, we're going to see things. I just have a feeling we're going to see things like we've never seen before. And it raises a lot of questions, doesn't it? How do I explain this to people? How do I explain this to Ben? Ben has been doing homework lately, and it's part of his homework. And let me say this, I'm very pleased with his homework because it's not partisan in any way that I can find. But it's about how we elect a president. So it talks about the campaigns, and it talks about the primaries and the caucuses, and it talks about the election day and then the electoral college, and then the swearing in and the inauguration. And I've been very pleased with it, but I've been working with him on it, and he's got lots of questions. He's Ben. He always has questions about everything. Ben is a questioner, and that's good in a lot of ways. But sometimes I'm not sure how to answer the questions in a way that he can grasp conceptually. Specifically, I've been wondering, in teaching him about politics, because naturally these questions about how the system works lead to questions about politics. Well, how do I, it's hard to put this in a 10-year-old's mind. It really is. Because then he asks other questions. Ben asked the other day, as they were talking about the Electoral College and the votes, and I was trying to explain to him how in the states it's winner take all. So in the state of Washington, where we live, however many people vote for candidate A versus how many people vote for candidate B, we don't split the Electoral College votes. The winner takes all of them. And he looked at me and he asked me, so is California a Democrat or Republican state? I looked at him and said, why do you want to know? You don't live in California. He said, yeah, but I am a Californian. That's where I was born. And shouldn't I be whatever my state is? No, Ben. You have to decide for yourself what you are. You don't want to follow the crowd. If you find that you agree philosophically and functionally with Democrats, then by all means be a Democrat. If you find that you functionally and philosophically agreed with the Republicans, then by all means be a Republican. If you find that there are elements of both that you like, but not completely that you like, then by all means be an independent. But you have to decide that for yourself. This, of course, left him wondering. He doesn't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. He said, well, right now you're neither. You're 10, so you don't really have to worry about it for at least another 8 years. Okay, Dad. Then in that time, maybe we'll teach you a few things along the way. Then he said, Dad, they keep saying this. He does. He's like everybody else. This nebulous they keeps saying that this is the most important election in history. Why? That's a harder question to answer, isn't it? Because it isn't the most important election in history. That was in 2004, right? Wasn't 2004 the most important election? No, wait. It was 2008, right? That was the most important. Wait, it was the midterms in 2010. That was no, it was the presidential election in 2012, right? Romney versus Obama. That was the most important. No, wait, it would have been 2014, right? Or was it 2016? Or is it this year? This most important election in history hyperbole, which continues to be used every time we turn around. This, that, every news station, they've got that really deep sounding voice and the dramatic music. It's the most important decision we'll ever make, which it isn't, but we think it is. Because we've given these people so much power in and over our lives that we're convinced that if we choose the wrong person, well, the world will stop revolving, won't it? I mean, the world will stop revolving. All the people who didn't vote for him will be flung off into space, while the people who did vote for him will be rewarded with riches and wealth and contentment and happiness Be like Omicron SETI 3, right? And everybody be happy. Because of course not. The most important election in history isn't any of these, and despite our attempts at hyperbole and despite our attempts at grandiose ideologies, they're not the most important election in history. Are they important? Yes. Do they matter? Of course they matter. All elections have consequences, but is it the most important one in history? God, no. Not even in the top. It's not even in the top 100. And yet people would have you believe that it is, because this is the other concept I've got to try to explain to Ben. Politicians lie, and people in politics lie. This is what they do. They try to make something that's not important important. They try to make things that are important unimportant. And at the same time, they're trying desperately to convince you that they care about you. That's Joe Biden's ads. I'm unclear on how ads are running around the nation, but up here, Biden is running an ad about how he's going to take care of you, the American family, just like he takes care of his own family. Now, look, I don't care if you're a Trump voter or a Biden voter, but if you're a Biden voter, you got to be looking at an ad like that going, I'm just not sure I'd be bringing up family right now. I'm just not so sure that, treating you like my family is the best way to go with this right now, because even Biden voters are looking at this Hunter Biden story going, plausible deniability or not, there's some hankiness here. And of course, the Streisand effect of not talking about the story isn't helping. And but when Biden says he's going to take care of you like he takes care of his family, you got to wonder, what exactly does he mean by that? Am I going to get rich from Ukrainian oil? Does he mean that I'm going to get the same health care that he gets? I don't know that what he means. And as I'm trying to explain this to Ben, these people lie. These people will make you promises that they cannot keep, because they think that makes them popular. They're saying what you want them to say, what you want to hear, and off you go. And it's kind of like being dad. I told him, if I tell you that we're going to do something fun, you're happy. But if I tell you got to go do your homework, you're mad. Well, which one really matters? Which one is really important? I mean, they're both important, but which one's important right now? Getting this homework done is important right now. We're going to get it done before we go have fun. Well, politicians lie, Ben. Politicians, they exaggerate everything. We got an ad running here right now for Secretary of State. Now, look, I know that these positions are relatively meaningful and they actually have jobs, but we have far too many elected officials in our state government. We have an assistant governor here, lieutenant governor. I call him the ass governor. Do you know where our ass governor is right now? The state of Washington? Our ass governor is in California. Why is our ass governor in California? Because he's studying to be a priest. And he wants us to know two things. One, he's not collecting a salary right now. Okay. And number two, he's available for us if we need him. He's in constant contact with the ass governor's office here in Olympia, so that if there's anything he needs to do, he can take care of it right away while he's studying to be a priest in California, which tells you right there, we don't need an ass governor. I know where we can save about at least $250,000 right there. Just get rid of the ass governor. But we've got people running for ass governor, and one of whom, Denny Heck, is a name you may have heard. He's a former congressman. He's a firebrand liberal. His entire campaign for the position of ass governor of Washington has been, I'm not afraid to take on Donald Trump. You're running for the assistant governor of Washington. What does that have to do with Donald Trump? Nothing. Nothing at all. Oh, but Dave, what if Jay Inslee accepts a position in the Biden administration? Well, then Denny Heck will be the governor. But even our attorney general, who has sued Donald Trump 80 times and brags about it on his website, has more to do with Trump than the governor of the state of Washington does. And the ass governor doesn't have anything to do. He gets paid. I swear to God, the perfect job. I'm thinking seriously about it, running for it myself, because really, what do I do as the ass governor of Washington? I mean, apparently, I can go to California and hang out and study to become a priest. Got my ordination, so I don't need it. We have a gal running for Secretary of State, and her entire commercial, I'm not making this up, this is word for word. Hi, I'm so-and-so running for Secretary of State, and I'm a Democrat, but my opponent is a Republican. But that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter that I'm a Democrat and she's a Republican, because we're all Washingtonians, and you know, but I'm going to take on Donald Trump. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. The Secretary of State of Washington is not wants to not be afraid of Donald Trump. I'm trying to explain this to Ben. See all these ads, see this stuff. It's just nonsensical. They're promising you things because they think that you will vote for them. They never explain to you how they're going to do this. They never explain to you how they're going to make this happen. They never explain to you what the consequences will be. I showed him the ballot guide. Said, see, here's a ballot proposition. We have a big one here, 90, referendum 90 about sex ed in schools. And so I went through it and see, here's the actual thing, and here's the arguments for it, and here's the arguments against it. These commercials, you never see arguments for or against something. It's just, that guy likes Donald Trump, and I hate Donald Trump. Okay, so what does that have to do with the position of dog catcher in Paulsbo? Nothing. He was impressed by this pro-anti thing. He had some questions about that, and we talked about that. And I talked about how important it is to do your own research, do your own studying, become your own person in these decisions. Don't just go on the internet and go, well, look, I saw a meme and it said that Hillary Clinton said that Michelle Obama was a bee. Okay, back to square one we go. It's left me with a lot of questions. And it's intriguing in a lot of ways. You know, I've been a dad now for 10 years, stepdad for a little bit longer than that, and it's intriguing me now, because now Ben is old enough to understand. He's not the little boy that he once was. He's not that little kid imitating Einstein, sticking his tongue out, standing on the table. That was wonderful. Now we're moving into the real, the world of no longer abstract ideas. And teaching him these ideas and teaching him these thought processes without necessarily embedding in him my own biases and my own opinions is important to me. One of the reasons I do this show, and I've said this on numerous occasions, I don't do this show for anything except for Ben. This is my record for Ben. This is my story for him, so that when he's 18, 19, 20, and he wants to know what did Dad think about something if I'm not here, he can always have this to go back to. There he can get my biases, he can get my opinions. But when I'm actually teaching him stuff, I have to teach him the ideas that founded and framed our nation and our government. I have to teach him the ideas that all men are created equal. All men, and yes, men means all human beings, are created equal and have inalienable rights. And that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But those are among them. And how we developed this idea and how we reached this thought process and how we got to where we are now, where politicians who lie at everything they say don't really believe that. And that if you don't hold them accountable, then the most important election in history doesn't really matter that much, because it's just going to be replaced with the next most important election in history. Who's going to give me the most stuff? It's the most important election. How do we hold them accountable? How do we hold them true to themselves? And I think maybe the only way to really do that is to teach him to be true to himself, to actually be honest with himself and with others as well. Because honest men and honest women and honest people expect honesty from everybody else. Maybe that's our problem. Maybe we're so worried about plausible deniability that we have accepted a status quo, accepted a scenario in which our politicians are so much about power and so much about hatred and so much about opposing someone else's ideas, someone's plans, the same plans that they have, by the way. Both presidential candidates are going to restore America. What does that mean? Maybe we've reached the point where the most important election in history isn't necessarily who we're voting for on the ballot on November 3rd, but rather what we're thinking ourselves. The most important election in history is when we decide for ourselves what we're going to be. I think maybe if I teach him that, then he'll be okay. I think maybe if I teach him to be himself, to be true to himself in everything he does, then I won't really need to worry about who he's voting for, or whether or not it's the latest incarnation of the most important election in history. Maybe he'll just be a good person, and I can live with that.